Hello and welcome. Today we are discussing a very important topic from mains perspective, and that topic is public-private partnerships. And this topic of public-private partnerships, or as it is called, investment models in the main syllabus, here we are going to discuss a subtopic of the chapter, that is the BOT model. First of all, what is public-private partnership? Look, if I talk about public-private partnership, here the public entity, when I say public entity, it means the government, and the private entity, that is any private enterprise. The private entity, they come together. They are in a partnership. And why are they in the partnership? They are in the partnership to provide a public good. That public good can be a port, it can be an airport, it can be a railway station, it can be a road too. What we are discussing now is the BOT model. Now, BOT, it stands for build, operate, and transfer. Build, operate, and transfer. So what happens here is, now how the whole thing works? First of all, suppose the government has to construct an expressway from Delhi to Mumbai. I am telling you how BOT model works, and I am going to tell you through an example. Suppose the government wants to construct an expressway of around 1000 kilometers from Delhi to Mumbai. If the expressway is of around 1000 kilometers, the cost would be approximately 1 lakh crore rupees, which is a huge amount. Government can also construct this expressway. But if government constructs it, yes, the positive thing is it would be shown as a high capital expenditure. The drawback is if the government is spending 1 lakh crore rupees on infra creation, it means it won't be in a position to spend 1 lakh crore rupees somewhere else. For example, government's NREGA budget of 1 year is around 50 to 60,000 crore rupees. Now, if the government constructs this expressway, it means it is taking cost of approximately 2 NREGA years. So, government has to find out what is best for it. So, what it thinks is it's better that let this expressway be done through public-private partnership. So, what would the government do? The government, it would float a tender. And what would be that tender? The tender would be that the government has to construct an expressway from Delhi to Mumbai covering a length of 1000 kilometers. This expressway is to be built, say, in a period of 5 years. Say, starting from 2023 to 2028. The project is to be completed. The private party which will be building the expressway, that private party would bring its own finance. It would be bringing its own finance. Government won't be providing the funds. Then the private party would be responsible for getting the land acquisition and other regulatory clearances. What can be those regulatory clearances? Those regulatory clearances can be environment clearance, water permit, construction permit, etc. All these regulatory clearances and land acquisition would be the responsibility of the private player. This is the build part. Once the expressway has been built, then starting from the 6th year, that is from 2028 to the period of 2048, that is the next 20 years. For the next 20 years, the private party would also operate the expressway. It would not only operate it, it would also maintain it. Generally what we say is, when we see government roads, those government roads are constructed by a private party but are maintained by the government. Here what happens, the party which is building the expressway would also have to take care of the maintenance of the expressway for the next 20 years. Side by side, the party would also collect toll during this period. How much toll will be collected per vehicle? That would be decided by the government and the private party together. We cannot allow the private party to decide the price. Both of these parties would be deciding the price. Fair enough? The private party would be collecting the toll for these 20 years. Toll, how much toll will be there for a truck, for a bus, for a car, for a jeep, would be decided by both parties together. Now, once the toll is collected, then this is to be done for a period of 20 years, right? Suppose 20 years are gone, then what? Now, after completion of 20 years, the project would be transferred back to the government. Fair enough? The project would be transferred back to the government. Then it is up to the government to decide what should be done with the project. If the government wants, then NHAI can take care of the operation and maintenance. If the government wants, it can float another tender. But in this case, the tender would only be for the operation and maintenance of the expressway, not for the construction. So obviously now the toll collection would be lesser as compared to earlier, because now only the operation cost is to be recovered, while earlier the construction cost had also to be recovered. Fair enough? So what is happening is, the private party would be building the expressway, it would be operating it also, and after operating it, then the party would be like transferring it back to the government. And all these things, they would be written in an agreement between the private party and the government, that these would be the responsibilities of the government, these would be responsibilities of the private player. All these things, they are written in an agreement, and that agreement is called MCA, which stands for Model Concessionaire Agreement. Model Concessionaire Agreement. I missed one thing intentionally. That one thing is that look, the project cost is 1 lakh crore. The cost is huge, but suppose the return is 10% of it. Even 10% of 1 lakh crore is 10,000 crores. It's a huge amount. Suppose the return is just 5% of the investment. That the party is investing 1 lakh crores, it is getting back just 5,000 crore rupees. That's 5,000 crore is also a huge amount. A lot of companies, a lot of private companies would be interested in getting this project. So how would the government decide which party is to be given the contract? Yes, guess it over. Some may think the party which would be doing it in the minimum cost. But point here is, who is bearing the cost? The government is not bearing the cost. The whole money of 1 lakh CR would be brought by the private party. The money is not a constraint. Some other students may say that experienced party may be given a contract. The one who has good credibility may be given a contract. But old credibility, old experience don't ensure that we are going to do well in the future. At the same time, if we give weightage to experience, don't you think it's an injustice to the new players? How do we do it? Thing is, in this case, in this period from 28 to 48, when the private party is collecting toll, one thing it would do is part of this toll will be shared with the government. Part of the toll is shared with the government. So which party would be getting the contract? That party would be getting the contract which shares maximum revenue with the government. Now, how much revenue can be shared? That actually would depend upon how much toll the company is collecting, right? But how much toll can be collected per vehicle? It is decided by the private party and the government. So which party will be able to share more? That party whose cost of construction is minimum. One way of reducing cost is by using substandard material. But here the same party is responsible for maintenance. If it uses substandard material, then the maintenance cost may go high. The party cannot compromise on this. It would have to construct best of quality expressway with minimum cost, and that would be the party which will be getting the contract. And that is how this model works. That is, a private party would be building the expressway. It would also be responsible for operation and maintenance. During the operation and maintenance period, it will be collecting the toll and sharing with the government. And then once the period is over, the asset or the road is transferred back to the government. This is actually build, operate, transfer model of public-private partnership. I hope you have understood. Keep logged in for more such type of informative videos.